Athletes, artists, famous heads of state. Today in this video, we have some of history's most famous non-drinkers. You're going to find out the background to their sobriety, how they managed to do it, and hopefully you're going to get some inspiration for your own journey. Now, I'm going to warn you, a lot of these characters are controversial, but you will not want to miss this video. Stay tuned. I'm also going to leave timestamps in the description below if you want to skip to any specific individual, and also leave me a comment down below if I've missed anybody who you think should have got a mention in this top 10 list. And also guys, just before we get into the video, if you actually want my personal help stopping drinking and you want to join the Sober Clear program, where we really reframe the way that you view alcohol and then use coaching and have a community, and it's all about focusing on the future, click the link in the description. You'll be able to book a call with me and we can have a conversation to see if the Sober Clear program could be a good match for getting your drinking under control. So please click the link in the description if you want to book a call, and let's get back to the video. So quickly, let's define a teetotaler. A teetotaler is somebody who doesn't drink at all. Whilst we can trace back the term to 1830s England, nobody knows exactly where it came from. One possibility is that the T was simply added in front for emphasis, the total obviously standing for total abstinence. Whatever the origin, the term was a reaction to the earlier temperance movement. The temperance movement condemned hard liquor but allowed for milder forms of alcohol like beer and wine. Now with that out of the way, let's get into it. The top 10 teetotalers in history. Kicking things off, none other than the 45th President of the United States, Donald John Trump. Now, when it comes to health matters, Donald is a mixed bag. He famously subsists of an atrocious diet that's heavy in fast food. Though he can have any food in the world, the guy's favourite is McDonald's, believe it or not. Now, he's been known to eat 2 Big Macs, 2 fish fillets, and a chocolate shake in just one sitting. This kind of menu clocks in at a combined 2,400 calories. Aside from McDonald's, close aides to the president have revealed that on his private Boeing 757, there is also Kentucky Fried Chicken, pizza, and Diet Coke. Now, having said all of this, you might be surprised to hear that the man not only does not drink, but he actually absolutely hates alcohol. And I mean hate with a capital H. Nobody in our top 10 comes even close to him in terms of anti-alcohol sentiments and statements. What is the reason behind this intense dislike? Now, sadly, the former president's own elder brother, Fred, passed away from health complications related to alcoholism in 1981. Freddie's dream was to be a pilot, but from an early age he faced tremendous pressure from his father to get involved in the family's real estate business. In the 1960s, he completely left the business to become a pilot, something which severely strained his relationship to his father. When his drinking got out of hand, he had to leave his pilot career all the same. Sadly, he died a few years later from an alcohol-related heart attack. According to Donald, his older brother begged him to never touch alcohol, and this is a promise that he has kept throughout the years. Living drug and alcohol-free is a value that he tries to instill not only in his own children, but also in the youth of the United States. Let's take a quick look.
You know, this is what people ask, what do I tell? I said to my kids, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. Raise your hands, kids. I promise Donald J. Trump that I will never take drugs. I don't want to say no alcohol, but take it easy on the alcohol, right? And you know what else? No cigarettes, right? All right, kids, come here.
Number 2 on the list is Blake Lively. Famous for her roles in movies including The Age of Adeline and Gossip Girl, Blake Lively is widely considered one of the prettiest women in Hollywood today. In a recent interview with People magazine, the 34-year-old actress revealed the very simple reason that she chooses not to drink alcohol. She just doesn't like the effects of alcohol. Having said that, she added that she likes being part of the drinking culture, which is why she will often assume bartender responsibilities at the parties that her husband, Ryan Reynolds, hosts. Now, in line with her complete abstinence from drinking, the beautiful actress launched her own brand of non-alcoholic sparkling beverages, titled Betty Buzz. Her husband was also in the drinks business until 2020. That's when he sold his own brand of gin for a whopping $610 million. At number 3, we've got Adolf Hitler. Hitler is one of the most famous health freaks in history. A staunch anti-smoker, he launched the first state-sponsored anti-smoking campaign in history. That was the time when scientists were starting to establish unequivocal ties between smoking and such diseases as cancer and heart disease. Towards the end of the war, German scientists also showed beyond doubt that smoking was responsible for thousands of soldiers' premature deaths, further intensifying the campaign. Amongst other measures, the state ran ads warning about the evils of smoking, and the practice was banned in many public places, including schools and cinemas. Hitler also avoided meat, partly for ethical reasons, as he did not feel comfortable with the killing of animals for food. When attending banquets abroad, he would bring his own chef who prepared his vegetarian meals, often scrambled eggs. How bizarre. He also never drank, not just alcohol, but for the most part nothing outside of mineral water. Though he never sponsored an anti-drinking campaign to match the tobacco one, toward the end of the war, he instituted strict punishments for drunk soldiers. This was because discipline was waning and drunken unruliness was becoming a major problem. On certain occasions, the penalty was death. Yet, despite his health-conscious ways, Hitler was not able to escape the addiction trap in the end of his life. Research into the papers and private records of Hitler's personal physician reveals that he was heavily addicted to prescription injections of methamphetamine as well as oxycodone. On occasions, his doctors even prescribed opioids at the same time as cocaine, a practice known today in the street as speed balling. I told you some of these people were controversial. At number 4, we've got Leona Lewis. The 37-year-old London native burst onto national recognition when she won the 2006 edition of Britain's X Factor. After a massively successful debut single, Leona established herself as a megastar with the release of 2007's album Spirit, which reached the number 1 spot worldwide. In the years since, she's gone on to amass numerous other massive hits and even dabbled with acting. In a 2010 interview with InStyle magazine, Lewis revealed to the world that she does not touch alcohol. Quote, "I don't drink. I haven't for years. It tastes like hairspray to me. I can have a great time without alcohol. I don't need that to get me up on the dance floor. I'm there already. I'll sometimes have a little Red Bull. That's my little buzz." She went on to express her astonishment with the widespread belief that drinking is necessary to having fun, describing it as, quote, "a stupid mindset." She said, "A lot of my friends are like, I need a drink to get on the dance floor. I don't need that help me to relax thing. If I'm around my friends, then I can really relax and have a good time, and that's all I need." Now, I just want to say, what a great role model Leona Lewis truly is. At number 5, we have got the legend, Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, he's one of the most talented and successful footballers of all time. Cristiano Ronaldo recently returned to Manchester United, following a 3-year stint in Juventus. Now, I've just made a video recently talking about Ronaldo that you can click up here. It's some of the lessons that we can learn from him. But during his first period in the club, from 2003 to 2009, Ronaldo cemented his reputation as one of the best players in the world. But it was the next 8 years that he would spend with Spanish giants Real Madrid that propelled him into the discussion of all-time great. Ronaldo's accomplishments include an astonishing 5 Champions League trophies, 5 Golden Ball awards, and more national trophies and accolades than we can list here. Yet, what is even more astonishing is how the superstar manages to compete at the top level at 37 years of age. By this age, most top footballers are not only well and truly retired, but have often gone to become physically unrecognizable. Instead, Cristiano continues to play for one of the best clubs in the world, where he remains their best player. Recently, he almost single-handedly carried them into the last 16 of this year's Champions League. But how? How exactly does he do this? How is this humanly possible? Now, a recent article in the Daily Mirror gives us a glimpse into the superstar's health habits. This includes a super clean diet, rich in lean meats and vegetables like broccoli, a minimum of 8 hours of sleep, and even a hyperbaric oxygen therapy oxygen tank. Unsurprisingly, Ronaldo does not touch alcohol. Alcohol, you said? The guy even despises Coca-Cola. In a famous scene from a press conference during 2020's European Championship, the footballer removed 2 bottles of Coke from in front of him, raising instead a bottle of mineral water. Now, sadly, Ronaldo does come from a family ravaged by alcohol. His father was a soldier who fought in the Portuguese Lost War against Angola. He returned to his native Madeira a broken man, struggling for work and heavily addicted to alcohol. He died in 2005 before he had a chance to see his son become the best player in the world. Ronaldo's older brother, Hugo Aveiro, also has struggled with addiction. When he was only 16 years of age, Ronaldo was already making enough money to cover the cost of his brother's rehab center. This is something that their mother says might just have saved Hugo's life. At number 6, we've got Gandhi. Considered the father of India, Mahatma Gandhi is perhaps the most famous non-violent revolutionary in history. In August of 1942, he delivered his famous Quit India speech, in which he called for the British forces to leave India and let the country decide its own fate. While the British quickly crushed that movement, it was clear to the world that it was only a matter of time before India would become independent. Exhausted from the titanic struggle in the Second World War, the British Empire could eventually hold on no more, and in 1947, India and Pakistan were granted their independence. In the vacuum left by the withdrawal of British forces, violent clashes between Hindu and Muslim forces broke out. Now, rather than joining the celebrations for his country's newfound independence, Gandhi chose to appeal for peace and the end of intracommunal violence by fasting and spinning his famous wheel. Some Indians would accuse Gandhi of being too lenient on the Muslims, and sadly he would find his death at the hands of a disgruntled extremist Indian nationalist the following year. As you'd probably expect by looking at the man and reading up on his life's work, Gandhi was a man of moderation. Excesses like alcohol and tobacco had no place in his lifestyle. The guy didn't even drink coffee or tea. When it came to drinking, Gandhi didn't mince his words. Drugs and drink are the two arms of the devil, with which he strikes his helplessness slaves into stupefaction and intoxication. Now, unfortunately, Gandhi did not live a completely disease-free life. On the contrary, he suffered from various ailments throughout his life, including dysentery, appendicitis, and influenza. His answer to all of these health challenges was a strictly vegetarian diet, fresh air, exercise, and fasting. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 7, we've got Ernesto Che Guevara. Medical doctor, traveler, revolutionary. Regardless of what you think of his political ideas, it's hard to find a more influential cultural icon than Ernesto Guevara. In 1956, Guevara was aboard a yacht along with Fidel Castro and 80 other armed rebels as they sailed from Mexico to Playa Los Colorados in Cuba. Their goal was to overthrow Cuba's military leader, Fulgencio Batista, and establish a People's Republic along the lines of the Soviet Union and China. Batista had been tipped off to their arrival, however, and the landing party was promptly bombed by an overwhelming barrage from land and air. Of the 82 men on board the yacht, only 20 survived. These included Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, and his brother Raul, who is the present-day leader of the country. The 20 surviving men would go on to wage a guerrilla warfare campaign for the next 3 years, steadily growing their forces until they would triumphantly roll into Havana in January 1959, making the end of the Civil War. The rebels' entry into Havana had been made possible by the preceding Battle of Santa Clara. In that battle, 340 rebels led by Guevara defeated massively superior government forces, which totaled close to 4,000 soldiers. After the war, Guevara was a new key figure in the new communist government. He held key positions like president of the country's central bank and minister of industries. He left the country in 1965 in order to foment revolutionary movements worldwide before his violent death in Bolivia 2 years later. Though Guevara loved his cigars, he was an unrepenting teetotaler. In late 1958 and early 1959, while he was in charge of Santa Clara, he issued decrees regulating the use of alcohol. In the year 2000, one of Guevara's photographers took Smirnoff vodka to court over breach of copyright. The 72-year-old photographer stated that he objected to the company using his photographs to promote alcohol, adding that, quote, alcohol and Che Guevara have nothing in common. Smirnoff settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money, where the photographer said that he would then donate it to charity. At number 8, we have got Warren Buffett. Ranked number 8 on Forbes' list of richest men in America, the Oracle of Omaha is arguably the most successful investor of all time. With a net worth of $114 billion, the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway is one of the most revered and quoted investors of all times. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. You never know who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. At its core, his investment strategy focuses on high-quality businesses with proven track records and the potential to dominate their sector. For example, his 2016 purchase of Apple stocks raised eyebrows at the time. The company's shares were considered by many to be overvalued, and Apple itself too mature to allow for significant gains. It would turn out to be one of his best moves to date, his initial $1 billion investment having quadrupled in the last 6 years. At 90 years of age, Buffett is showing no signs of slowing down, and it certainly helps that he never drinks alcohol or smokes cigarettes. He also gets at least 8 hours of sleep a night. Now, having said all that, his health habits are far from perfect. He openly admits to drinking at least 5 servings of Coca-Cola a day, and like Trump, he's also a big fan of McDonald's, especially their breakfast menu. Now, for the last 2 celebrities in today's top 10, we have a pair of former drinkers turned teetotalers. Coming in at number 9, Jessica Simpson. In November last year, the Dukes of Hazzard star posted this photo on her Instagram account. The photo dates back to November 1st, 2017. The day Jessica decided that she had had enough with drinking. Quote, "I needed to stop drinking alcohol because it kept my mind and heart circling in the same direction, and quite honestly, I was exhausted. I wanted to feel the pain so I could carry it like a badge of honor. I wanted to live as a leader does and break cycles to advance forward, never looking back with regret and remorse." She would add, "I can't believe it's been 4 years. It feels like maybe 2. There is so much stigma around the word alcoholism or the label of an alcoholic. The real work that needed to be done in my life was to actually accept failure, pain, brokenness, and self-sabotage. The drinking wasn't the issue. I was." In her 2020 memoirs titled Open Book, the singer would describe being sexually abused as a child. She says that this, together with the immense pressure of living under the constant spotlight of celebrity, led to her drug and alcohol dependency. Interestingly, she described giving up alcohol as easy, adding that she was mad at the bottle for keeping her, quote, complacent and dumb. Needless to say, ditching the bottle was one of Jessica's best decisions. She would go on to have her 3rd child, Birdie Mae Johnson, and at 41 years old, she looks better than ever. And guys, at number 10, we've got Stephen King. With over 350 million book sales to his name, Stephen King is one of the most successful writers in history, starting with his first blockbuster novel, Carrie, which was published in 1974. King has gone on to write over 60 novels, picking up numerous accolades along the way. These were capped off with the prestigious National Medal of Arts, which he won in 2015 for his lifetime contribution to literature. Born in 1947 in Maine, King had a difficult childhood, with his father walking out of the house when he was only 2 years of age. As a child, King found a box of horror books that his father had left behind, and was soon obsessed with themes of death, fear, and deformity. Oh, and clowns. It was during his time as an English undergraduate at the University of Maine that King turned heavily to drugs, including speed, LSD, and cannabis. A month before his graduation in 1970, he was actually arrested for disorderly conduct whilst drunk. King would go on to struggle with low-paying jobs and an endless stream of rejections from publishing houses until he published Carrie in 1974. His writing career was all uphill from that point on. Yet as his writing career blossomed, his drinking and drug-taking grew increasingly out of control. By his own accounts, he would spend about 3 hours a day sober. The rest of his days were a haze of alcohol, cocaine, and a 2-pack-a-day cigarette habit. His cocaine habit got so bad that he would stuff his nose with cotton to prevent blood from spilling onto the typewriter. Eventually, his wife, Tabitha, had had enough, and she presented him with an ultimatum: get clean or leave the house. And get clean he did. It was a long and painful process though, as he had to learn how to write sober for the first time in his career. Quote, "Little by little, I found the beat again. And after that, I found the joy again. I came back to my family with gratitude and back to my work with relief. I came back to it the way folks come back to a summer cottage after a long winter, checking first to make sure that nothing has been stolen or broken during the cold season. Nothing had been. It was all still there, still all whole. Once the pipers were thawed out and the electricity was turned back on, everything worked just fine. Thanks to the support of his wife and family, King was able to pull through, and he has spent the last 3 decades completely sober. His latest book, Gwendy's Final Task, was published this past February. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Have a great day.